thank you so much for joining me back here. I'm a little giddy. This is a long time no see. It's the first time I have recorded, uploaded, all of that good nonsense in 2 or 3 weeks, probably closer to 3. We moved again. Hopefully we'll be in this house for the foreseeable future, so we won't have to do that again. But because of moving, you know, we had to move all our stuff. We've been unpacking our stuff. We're working on getting our old house fit to sell, all that kind of stuff that goes with being an adult. So I haven't had time, but I have time now. We're pretty much settled. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be doing my April 2022 wrap up. Definitely not as good as March. I read something crazy, like 29, I think, in March. This month, I only read 7. And putting the word only in front of that is ridiculous to me because 7 is actually a really good reading month, typically for me. Usually closer to 3 or 4 is what I usually get. So 7 is good, it's just not 29. Most of them were rom-coms, all of them except for 1 were rom-coms. So I'm not going to talk about these in order, I'm just going to kind of group them together based on different things. So let's get into it. My 7 books from April. Book number 1 was my second thriller of the year / kind of ever. I'm just now starting to read thrillers. I read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, I think, maybe. I don't know, I'm sorry. But I read The Silent Patient. I read his first book, The Maidens, sometime this year. I think it might have been January or February. So I have read both of his popular books now. I think this was his debut novel. It was good. Not quite as good as The Maidens. I don't think the twist at the end did get me though. I was pretty shocked, I'm not gonna lie. Did not see that coming. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say that there was a twist. I personally don't really think so, but it was good. I don't really remember the names of the characters too well, but just briefly, our main character is kind of like, I don't know the technical name for it, like not a psychiatrist, but like a psychotherapist or something like that. He helps people who have been admitted into like a psych ward type thing. And he's really invested in this one patient and a job opens up in the hospital that she's at. So he accepts the job and kind of makes it his point to help this woman. She killed her husband. No one really knows why. She was a famous painter and he saw a painting she had painted after the murder, and so that's pretty much the premise of it. It's very, very short premise, but he's invested in her, he wants to help her, and he kind of tries to figure out why she killed her husband. It was good. Again, I like The Maidens better, but this one was good. The ending was, I audibly talked to myself out loud and my husband was like, what is going on? So there you go. Okay, now we're going to talk about all the rom-coms I've read. I think I listened to all of them except for 1. Yeah, audiobooks have been a lifesaver here recently in terms of my reading. With all the stuff that I have going on, I just pop in an earbud, listen to an audiobook. That's how I get my reading done most of the time. So only one of these were not audiobooks. Let's go ahead and talk about that one. I read You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel, either one. This one is about a couple that is already together and they kind of grow apart. They don't break up, but they kind of end up resenting each other, and they're both trying to get the other person to break it off, but they're both stubborn, so neither of them are breaking it off, that kind of thing. Or at least that's what the female protagonist thinks in her head. I would definitely say this is an unreliable narrator because throughout the whole book, she thinks that he hates her just as much as she hates him, but lo and behold, maybe that's not the case. It was super sweet. Basically, 2 loves just falling back into love. And there's a very overbearing mother-in-law involved, some quirky friends that I enjoyed. Just overall good. I like the characters in this one. It was pretty good. Okay, next up we have a series that I've come to really enjoy. I've mentioned it briefly before. Last month, I guess, would have been the first time I mentioned it because I read the first book last month. This month I read the next 2 books in the Romance Book Club series. This is written by Lisa K. Adams. It's a very funny series. Basically, there's a group of guys who are in a book club, but they read romance books to kind of teach themselves how to handle women. Hilarious. I read the second one, Undercover Bromance, and the third one, Crazy Stupid Bromance. The first one, well, I guess technically the second one. The second one is about kind of the playboy type figure in this little group that they have. He's one of the only ones in the group that hasn't been married and doesn't have a girlfriend. He just kind of enjoys getting together with the guys and talking about the books. But we have him, and then another character that was in the first book that I'm not going to spoil. I probably won't mention too much about these two because the characters are in the first book and in the second book. They're kind of all of the same characters grouped together, but they get together and they kind of out a public figure who has been sexually harassing and assaulting women, pretty much. So that's what they do. And then the second one, the third one, technically, I guess, the second one that I read this month, also involves characters in the other 2 books. But in this one we have like a nerdy-ish guy who's really good with tech stuff, and we have the female who runs like a cafe type thing, and she does not know her father, and her mother has passed away, and so she kind of discovers who her own family is. And I actually really like this one. There's a lot of talk about the guy had also lost his father. So she's lost her mother, he's lost his father, and there's a lot of talk about losing a parent. And as someone who has lost a parent, I lost my dad when I was in high school, I thought it described it very well. I liked how they described it. The feelings that they expressed in the book were very similar to how I felt and kind of still do feel at certain points. So if you have lost someone close to you, I wouldn't say it's a trigger. It didn't make me too sad or anything like that, but I felt, I don't know, this is the first time I've ever really felt like a book understood how I felt about the whole situation. So I did really like that about this one. Next up, I also have another series that I read this one out of order. I do recommend reading it in order because, again, the characters kind of intertwine with each other. If you read the second one, you kind of know who gets together in the first book, that kind of thing. So yeah, I read another series. This one is called It Happened in Nashville. The first one is The Off Limits Rule. The second one is The Temporary Roomie. So this one is basically about friends, right? 2 women work together in a salon. The first one, our main character's name, I don't remember names very well. Her, the sister, the main female protagonist, has a brother who has a friend. There we go, right? Yeah, he kind of pulls her out of her shell, makes her more adventurous. She already has a son, so she feels kind of bogged down in the life of motherhood. She feels like she has not been given chances to be free in a while and meet someone, and she meets this best friend of her brother's, and who has specifically asked his friend, please don't mess with my sister, but you love who you love. So that's how that one goes. Second one, the best friend of the girl in the first book that she works with is also pregnant and needs a place to stay while her house is being renovated. So she ends up staying with girl number 1's brother, who's a gynecologist. So he knows all about babies to begin with, so, or at least enough. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers story because she actually doesn't like her brother, her friend's brother, but doesn't have anywhere else to stay and is forced to stay with him, and then he's kind of overbearing and wants to take care of her because that's what he does. He takes care of pregnant women all day. And then lo and behold, at one point they pretend to date. There's a bunch of different tropes in this one. Enemies to lovers, pretend dating / fiancéing, all that kind of stuff in that one. It was pretty good. Series as a whole, I don't really give ratings. I would say maybe like a 3.5 though if I did. Fun if you're listening to it. I don't know that I would want to take the time to read it physically, but it was good. I think I read them on Libby. Okay, the last one I want to talk about is actually super popular. just in general. I've seen it on BookTube, I've seen it on Bookstagram and TikTok, and it was fine. It was fine. It was The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood, I think is her name. Basically, grad student, I think she's already got her master's, I think she's going for her PhD, pretends to date a professor at the university, not one of her professors, which I guess makes a difference, just a different professor on the campus, because her best friend is going out with her ex-boyfriend, and she wants to convince them that she does not care about him anymore, because she doesn't, but her best friend is a good friend and doesn't want to step on her toes. So she pretends to date this professor to convince her friend, hey, it's okay if you date him. Pretty much. There are people mowing outside if you hear that as well. So that's how this one goes. Again, everybody seems to love this one. I'm not a STEM person, and maybe that makes a difference. She's into biology and stuff like that. Biology? Science. She's doing cancer research. So maybe that makes a difference. I didn't really know a bunch of the sciencey stuff they were talking about. I'm through and through like an arts type person. I like reading and English and history and all that kind of stuff. So science is not really my thing. Maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much as other people seem to. The romance itself was also kind of cringy to me. We definitely have a brooding male in this one. That trope is very heavy in this one. We also have a loved you from the first, but I kept it a secret type trope in here as well. So, I don't know. It was fine. Maybe a little bit overhyped. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as everybody else seemed to, but that's just me. I'm a minority. If you've been thinking about it, give it a chance. Come to your own conclusion. So yeah, there we go. Those are all the books that I read in April. Again, not as good as March, but still way better than some of the other months that I've had. So I'm happy with it. 7 is fine. I don't know that oh well, it's only May 2nd, right? May 2nd. I was gonna say, I don't know that I've read that much in May yet. Of course not. May just started, so I have plenty of time to get on that. That's besides the point. We'll talk about that next month. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below, leave a comment. Let me know how your April reading went. I hope it went well. If not, let's make May better. They're right outside mowing. Right outside my house mowing, so I'm sorry. Anyways, you guys are awesome. I'm so thankful for you. Thanks for sticking around. Even though I haven't been here, you guys are awesome. Okay, see ya.